Hi, good morning and good afternoon to the Developers Summit. Welcome, developers. We're going to talk about the Roku Search feed and deep linking in this session. So, what we're really going to talk through today is the benefits of the Roku Search feed, how you as developers and media agencies can kind of integrate with the Roku Search feed to get better engagement and monetization on the content. We're going to then move into how we can really get you set up successfully for people who are just starting up, but also for people who have started up and always figure out issues and how to better onboard. So we'll go through some debugging and onboarding. And then our favorite part is about deep linking to make sure that your content, when you integrate, works well and you can get better engagement on your content when it's live. So before we start, I'd like to make sure that you guys are asking the right questions. Please go to the QR code below and answer your questions. You also have an opportunity to upvote favorite questions. So we'll take questions after this presentation. Cool. Thank you. So let me start off with what the benefits of the Roku Search feed are, right? So I'm Aditya Monkar. I'm the product manager for the search feed. And one of the things that I like to talk to different partners and developers is all the functionality that this integrating with the search feed really gets you, right? So some of the things that I'm going to talk about is how we can support you in your search experience for end users. So when you integrate correctly with the Roku search feed, you get users get direct home screen access to the channel. Users can search for your content using text and voice search. Your content also shows up in visual search results that we have that does really well on our platform. And also your content becomes available into our zones, which is our most favorite destinations from perspective of engagement that we've been talking through a few presentations before this. But what we also don't talk about with the Roku search feed is that our browse experiences also get unlocked for your users, right? So I think with integrating with the search feed, your content shows up in the what to watch section, which is one of the most, great engaging UX surfaces on the Roku platform. It also shows up on featured free, which is one of our old features. We've realized that continue watching is something that really works well, where people can come back and start the content that they were previously watching. And then save list, which is a feature that was recently introduced but has been doing very well. So I think this is where I think integrating with the search feed shows leaps and bounds in terms of engagement and eventually monetization for end users. So to make it successful or to help you integrate successful, we're going to walk you now through the next steps of integrating with Roku Search feed. I'll hand it over to Christian Locke to present this next section.
Thank you, Aditya. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Locke. I'm on the partner engineering team here at Roku, and we're going to discuss how to integrate with Roku Search 2.0, which is our JSON feed that we call here at Roku. One of the greatest benefits of integrating with this Roku Search 2.0 format is that you essentially have a unified feed for all regions. Previously in the legacy feed, you had to make multiple feeds to target select regions across our platform. But with Roku Search 2.0, everything is centralized into one singular feed, and you can add all your region-specific content, ratings, and localized assets into that feed. So you can just manually control it all in a singular place. Another thing that we also have in the Roku Search 2.0 feed is content availability windows. So you actually have the option to designate available windows of when to display your content on when it may be available to an audience and users. So you can use this to pretty much navigate your individual content items to have a specific availability window to everyone. The next part is multiple content types. We previously had series, episodes, and movies on the legacy feed, but on the Roku Search 2.0 JSON feed, we actually include a few additional content media types, such as TV specials, short form content that you can add and designate for your specific assets. And then lastly, which is hugely important, especially if you decide to go into a feed with multiple regions or even just an extensive catalog. If you have a very large feed, we include pagination in the Roku Search 2.0 feed, and this just helps with efficient ways of parsing your metadata and ingesting it, and even just getting it onto our Roku Search platform in a more efficient manner. So getting started, I'll walk through the steps here on how you guys can get started onto creating your new search feeds and getting onto the Roku Search platform. So essentially, first, you're going to navigate to this documentation page. This is in the Roku developer documentation. And you can just you can search up Roku Search 2.0. It'll be right there. It'll give you the specs for the JSON feed. We even have an additional sample feed and schema for reference. If you're a little bit confused on anything, I think it's very helpful. You can actually go through those sections and figure out what fields are available. If you have trouble reading the spec, it just gives an example of how to designate these specific fields. And then debugging and onboarding, we'll go through the steps on how you can go through your own debug and onboarding process in a self-service manner. So with the new developer dashboard updates over the past year, Roku Search has become a lot more self-service. We have a new search feed validator with a new extensive UI format that you can go through to debug your feed and even just see your search results and figure out what next steps you might need to take to get your search feed online as soon as possible. So this is the main page for the search feed validator. You can see in this sample search feed, I only have about 40% of my content validated correctly. It'll give me a status on whether my feed is validated or if it's failed or if it's successful and everything, but you can actually just click onto that percentage symbol in validated content to go to a more extensive UI to give you the individual results. So once I click into that percentage sign on the search feed validator, I have the option to download the JSON report for the sample search feed. That'll give you all the errors and warnings in the feed, as well as the ingested assets that have gone through successfully. And from here in the developer dashboard UI, if you don't download the JSON feed, you can actually navigate through your own individual asset errors. You'll see right underneath the summary section of the first picture on the left, it'll give you a detailed breakdown of your failed assets as well as the errors that actually occur in them. And you can even click in for a more detailed version of which specific IDs had failed. And you'll see that in the right picture here. It actually tells me which individual assets have failed and why they failed. And that's another great way to debug your search feed. Next, once you're ready and you've gone through the whole validation process, you can go into the Search Console or Search Feeds UI here that you see on the first picture here on the left. You will need an existing Roku channel that's already published to be able to go through this section and add a search feed to. You'll essentially you'll click on the top right corner nav where it says New Search Feed. And from there, all you have to do is select your already published channel. The screen that you'll see is this picture on the right, where it's a detailed breakdown of your new search feed. And you would essentially just drop down on that first channel selection and click your published channel and which one you want to publish it to. And then add your feed URL as well as some image assets and your email. And it'll give you pretty much everything you need to get your search feed validated and published. It'll give you another validation report. And from there, that's just your final step of validation before you go live. And then with here, I'm going to have my colleague here at Roku, Raf Brundy, take it away for deep linking.
Hi all, I'm Raf Brudney, Head of Partner Success, and we'll be sharing key insights about deep linking. Let's dive into the first slide, which breaks down two key types of IDs, Play ID and Asset ID. These are essential metadata components in a search feed and key to handling deep linking on the Roku platform. First, let's talk about the Play ID. This ID is associated with all content types, movies, episodes, TV special, and short-form videos. The Play ID is the only ID passed in deep link commands for each content type. Essentially, the Play ID gets passed as a content ID in all deep link commands. Next, we have the Asset ID. Unlike the Play ID, the Asset ID is never passed in the deep link command. The Asset ID is a unique content identifier and used to associate seasons and episodes to a series within a search feed. In this example, the Play ID Short form voice control, which is highlighted in yellow, is passed as the content ID, along with the media type, which could be episode or series. This specifies the required app behavior. The asset ID, Roku Demo Series, is used to associate seasons and episodes to a series, but is not included in a deep link command. The most important distinction here is that while asset ID helps identify and associate content in the search feed, only the play ID is applied in deep link commands. Now let's move on to the next section, where we'll explore how Roku Search UI integrates with deep link commands when selecting a series watch option. We'll walk through the steps involved in triggering a deep link and the expected channel behavior when accessing series content. Step 1. First, when the user searches for a series, such as the Spiderwick Chronicles in this example, and clicks on a search result, they are taken to the series level screen. This screen provides watch options for all available providers that stream the content. Step 2. Clicking a watch option on the screen triggers a deep link command. Importantly, the deep link includes an episode play ID, also known as the content ID, which is specific to that episode. Additionally, the deep link contains a media type parameter set to series. This combination of play ID and media type instructs the app to behave in a specific way, which I'll cover in a moment. On the right side, you can see the Roku interface where clicking the Watch Now button triggers a deep link command. In the command, the content ID 1234 represents an episode play ID, and the media type is series, specifies the required app behavior. Step 3, once the deep link command is sent, the app's backend bookmark logic, also known as smart bookmark, determines the appropriate episode and position to start playback, regardless of the episode play ID that is passed in the deep link command. This ensures that users can continue watching where they left off or begin from the correct episode within a series. In summary, the series watch option allows for a smooth and personalized viewing experience. The deep link command that gets triggered contains both the content ID and media type, which instruct the app to play the episode based on a user's watch history with accurate playback positioning. Now let's continue with our discussion on deep link commands, specifically focusing on episode watch options. In this section, we'll walk through how users can access individual episodes within a series and how Roku handles the deep linking process for episodic content. Step 1. The first step is accessing the episodic watch options. From the series screen, like we see here for the Spiderwick Chronicles, users can click the Episodes button. This takes them to the season episode picker, where they can navigate and choose specific episodes from the series. Step 2. Once the user is in the season or episode picker, they can scroll through and select the episode they want to watch. In the example shown here under Season 1, users can click on individual episodes, such as Welcome to Spiderwick, which is Season 1, Episode 1. Step 3, when a user clicks on an episodic watch option, a deep link command is triggered. This command includes the episode play ID, which is the unique identifier for the specific episode, as well as the media type set to episode. As you can see in the image on the bottom right, the play ID is passed with a value content ID 1234 and the media type episode, signaling the app to launch the episode directly. This ensures that the user is directed to the exact episode they selected. Finally, the expected behavior for the channel is to start playback from the selected episode at the user's bookmark position. If the user has already started the episode, the app will use its smart bookmark system to resume playback from where they left off. Otherwise, the episode will start from the beginning, delivering a seamless viewing experience without needing to manually track progress. Now let's move on to the final section, testing deep linking. In this section, we'll talk about testing deep linking during the development process on the Roku platform. It's essential to ensure that deep links work properly for unauthenticated and authenticated users. We'll look at two key tools you can use for this, the deep link tester and the search beta channel. First up is the deep link tester. This is a tool that's used to test deep linking during the app development phase. It allows you to simulate deep linking via curl commands and see how the system responds. But note that the deep link tester tool is limited. It doesn't support end-to-end testing and it can't simulate the full search UX on a device. So while it's useful in development for preliminary testing, you'll need a different tool for more complete testing. That brings us to the search beta channel, which enables end-to-end testing in a non-production setting. This tool simulates the production Roku Search UX, allowing you to verify deep link functionality in the most realistic environment possible, directly from search. It's important to use this tool to ensure that everything works correctly before asking Roku to publish your search feed. The search beta channel is a required testing path prior to requesting publication of the feed. Finally, one crucial point to highlight is that your testing must account for both unauthenticated and authenticated user states. For unauthenticated users, the deep link must be fulfilled once all necessary sign-in or login steps are completed. This means that the deep link should work regardless of whether the user is logged in or not. Make sure to test both scenarios thoroughly to prevent any delays and potential issues in production. In summary, testing deep linking is an essential step in app development, and both tools, the deep link tester for initial testing and the search beta channel for end-to-end testing verification, are crucial to ensuring the optimal user experience. That concludes the presentation. If you have any questions, please scan the QR code and submit your questions in Slido. Thank you.
All right. That was a great session on search and deep linking. And it's great. We've already got some questions in the Slido. So the team has the Search Deep Link team has joined us, and we're going to start diving into your questions now. So, and also as a reminder, you guys, in the Slido, you guys can upvote and downvote the questions. That'll determine which ones get read on air and which order. And as always, we won't comment on anything forward-facing on a roadmap, but we will answer as many questions as possible. And so let's get to it. So the first question from Ioka. Currently, we can provide search feed for video content only. Will we have the ability to provide the search feed for the games?
So thanks, Jonathan. I could take that one. So content, like there's many different titles. If you're thinking about content, there's many different titles within like a streaming application. For games, usually they're standalone, and search already works by default at the channel or that application name level. So if you have a game such as like Pac-Man and you search for Pac-Man, that game will pop up in search by default without any feed integration. I hope that answers the question.
Will keywords be supported in the search feed?
I guess I could take that one as well. At this time, that is not something that's on the roadmap. But right now, basically, the way that search works is off of title. So if there's any keywords that you could put in the title, which generally that doesn't work for content, some partners are using keywords and different ways to name their applications very strategically, but in general, keywords is not something that we support today, but could be something that's coming in the future.
Okay. Is it possible to include the descriptions and genres in the search algorithm? Currently, the content items names is used for searching.
So I guess I can answer that one. So you do have the options to include your descriptions and genres inside your content metadata. As far as your genres go, that does get factored into which zones you get put in as well. So it is important to put your genres as one of the things that's offered in the Roku genres list inside the search metadata feed.
Okay. From David, can smart playback be, smarter? Can we go back 10 seconds before the bookmark instead of the exact moment?
That's really dependent on the integration. So it's the back end that determines the playback position. So it's really on the partner side, generally on their back end, to determine where users dropped into playback when it comes to series or smart bookmark deep linking.
Right. So will there be more deep linking webinars or guides? Would love to see more advanced and beginner content. So that one, I will take that one. Certainly, we have a regular monthly webinar series, and I think search and deep linking can always slide into the rotation. So I think for sure we can schedule something in the near future. Be interesting, Greg, if you're on the developers Slack, if you want to put in some of the ideas that you have as far as what you would see in the beginner and advanced content, and we can certainly address that, whether it be through additional documentation, videos, and or webinars. So yeah, feel free. We'll definitely take your feedback, and for sure, we'll definitely have another webinar. We like last year at the last year's Dev Summit, we did the deep linking and search. Doing again this year because we know there's definitely an audience for this, and the help is always needed, and it's always useful. So anyway, just in the Dev Slack, let us know what you have in mind as far as what should be in that beginner advanced content, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, next question. Do you have any tips and tricks for JSON management?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there's a few different fronts that you can go about this. The first is definitely following our search spec as closely as possible. The search spec is very well detailed, and it will tell you which things are offered and required and what's not and what's optional and how they relate to each other. So that's the first step you can take to have better JSON management. Aside from that, we do have multiple self-service options now with what Tom mentioned earlier, with more self-service options in the developer dashboard to download your feed report or even view it inside the search validator UX. You can actually go through your feed errors and warnings in there. And it's important to monitor your feed health and actually track this data. I do want to say also, errors are not the only things that you may have to address in your feed reports as well. A lot of those times, those warnings that we give you are closely related to the errors that pop up. You'll just have to go through and read those warnings as well to see it might be pointing or might be caused by an error or something like that. So it's important to read through these feed reports consistently and just track your channel health.
Excellent. Thanks, Christian. Let's see. What is one feature you would love to add to search or deep linking? No commitment, just philosophy.
Yeah, well, I can take that. It's not this one's not exactly on the search feed side or deep linking side, but within the intake and developer dashboard side of this, I do think it would be great to add alert monitoring so that if your ingestion falls below a certain threshold, we would notify you of that proactively as opposed to relying on coming to the developer portal to view that percentage today. So that's something we're thinking about.
Okay. From Aaron Spelling. Now, when can we expect new languages to be supported in Roku Search?
Yeah, so I can take that. Are there any specific ones to the person who's asking, like if we could get more details about what languages? I think we focus on a very distinct set of languages that allow us to kind of, be present in the countries that we are in currently. So we have a huge set of languages, but if there is any specific things that anyone believes that we don't have and we should support, we are all ears to it. So love to get feedback.
Yeah, if you guys want to put that, what languages you're looking for, you can put that in the YouTube channel, and we can take that feedback. All right. From Chris Dwyer Perkins, are there any plans to add something similar to tvOS's top shelf, a feed-driven carousel that is populated on hover of your application in the home screen that surfaces content similar to continue watching but can expose more?
I'm not quite following the question. Maybe this is a good one for Aditya, but is
Yeah,
this
I'm just trying to wrap my head around the question. So I'm assuming, is the question around if you hover similar to how Netflix does it today, similar to how you hover around a content item, it shows you a trailer? Is that what the question is? What's the panel think? Like, is that the question or something else?
So I'm not as familiar with tvOS, but it sounds like there's a competitive feature where it's less on hovering over a content and rather hovering over a specific channel. It sounds like you might get a preview of some content within that channel, maybe things you've already watched or related content to what you've watched.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that we could directly answer without a bit more context than having to and
Exactly.
having the ability to see what tvOS is doing.
Okay, so we're getting down to the last few questions. We've got a few more minutes left. Will there be a channel network content type for Roku channels for streaming live TV?
So I get it. I mean, I think the question is like deep about implementation detail, but I think from live, right? I think we are looking at our product portfolio and experiment. That's all we can share, and especially looking at live experiences. So I think it is on our roadmap. Teams are effectively investigating live experiences and how we can kind of further the cause on live experiences. We see our competitors do it, so we're definitely talking about it, and we'll be able to share soon once we know more.
I'm going to go to this question. If there are multiple seasons in a series and play ID is specified for episodes only, which episode's play ID in the feed will pass to the app on selecting the Watch Now button?
Depends on which screen you're at. If you're on the series screen, it's going to be generally it's the first episode content ID available within that feed, and that's where the channel's smart bookmark or series deep linking logic determines the appropriate position to drop the user into playback. If you're on the episode screen, it'll be that episode content ID, and the app is expected to play that exact episode.
I do want to also highlight that this may not be the only use case scenario. So if a user is deep linking into a series, the channel partner will have to account for any random episode ID deep link. So if it is a series media type, it is possible that you will get an episode play ID for any episode number. And it's on the onus of the partner to be able to handle that deep link to wherever was last smart bookmarked.
Yeah, and I just want to add that as an end user, it's kind of nice if you end up with the next episode you want to watch. So that's up to the application again to define.